In this video, I want to talk with you about the 7 limiting factors or beliefs that keep doctors from building a multi-million-dollar practice. And after working with thousands of practices and seeing these repetitive patterns, it's become very clear what these 7 limiting factors are. I'm Dr. Corey Frogley, co-founder and CEO of BlueIQ. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit the notifications button so that you get notified when great content like this comes out. So understanding practice growth, this is one of the things I'm passionate about. In fact, it has been amazing in our journey of building these growth tools to see the practices that stay small. And these other practices, like, you just can't hold them back. They just catch fire and they are growing wildly. And there's 7 common things we've been able to narrow it down to of exactly what are these things that are keeping them from growing. And the first one that I want to share with you is mindset. It's this concept of belief. I meet so many practice owners that just don't believe that we can generate 7 figures in a practice, and or we can grow a big team, or there's going to be enough profits in that practice to grow. And so what we see is very limited or small practices. But we have found that with some of these practice owners, when they see what's possible, when they walk through a practice that's producing, multiple 7 figures, they see the way that it's run, they see the mindset of the team members. The team member actually shows up looking for growth opportunities. There's a big difference between showing up to the practice with this energy of, I can't do more, there's too much on my plate, versus what can I do today to accelerate growth? Or if there is a lot building up on the plate, where do they turn for help and assistance? What resources do we have to help them with staying in the mindset of growth? I've got to make sure that you're monitoring not only yours, but your management team and your team members' mindset daily. You're pinging them. You're checking in with them. How are we doing today? What's the top of your priority list today? There's a framework in place that you can use to help these team members reconnect with your vision, your purpose, and why you created this practice brand. And it all comes down to the volume of patients that you can help. This mindset that it's not all about the money. That's not why we're generating multiple 7 figures. It's about the impact that we can create in patients' lives. It's the educational content that we can produce. It's the patients we can attract into our sphere, into our influence. And that's what I want to help you as a doctor master, because if you can master that, the next 6 limiting factors become a lot easier. So mindset that we are growth driven, mindset that we can, that it is possible. And it's a beautiful thing when you now walk into a world where all things are possible and we show up every day to go to work. The next limiting factor for your team is really having a rhythm where we talk about growth strategies. And we've built and designed BlueIQ to operate around 4 core meetings that are used to be driving what we call the production rhythm. Production is the value that you're delivering to the patients. And so we start with what's called the morning huddle. This happens every day. Now, if you don't open till the afternoon, it's just called the huddle, but it's a huddle where the team comes together. And I don't care if you're 2 team members in a practice or if you're 50. It is essential that we have a time to come together to look at obstacles in the day, to review yesterday and how did we do, and celebrate our victories, talk about how we can do better. It's this rhythm of checking in with your team where they develop the habit of growth. I don't know if you've realized that, but this goes back to number 1, mindset, is that growth is a habit. And when we have a rhythm of a meeting driving this habit, your team members begin to catch on to that. And so that morning huddle is an opportunity to go through and remove obstacles in the day. Look for holes in the schedule that we can fill. Look for really busy times that we can streamline. We can come together as a team and make sure we're prepared. By being prepared, the daily show of seeing patients becomes much more efficient. And the team has a lot less upsets and frustrations with being busy because we were prepared to be busy. And that's the first of the 4 core meetings. The next of the core meetings is a weekly team meeting. This isn't just a team meeting where your team shows up for you to tell them what to do. No. We have built BlueIQ to build a completely different culture in your practice. And the most successful teams are the team members that show up very responsible for what they're delivering to the growth of the practice. Whether that's the front desk driving appointments and kept appointment percentages and recare percentages, whether that's your marketing team driving scheduled new patients, whether that's the billing team driving the percent of adjusted production collected, like everybody is coming to deliver what they are responsible for. This is now where as a team we get to talk about growth strategies. Where are we? Where are we going? And how do we get there? What obstacles are in our way? What skills do we need to develop to actually hit our benchmarks? Goal setting is such a key important part of this meeting. Recognizing where is success? Where is that line drawn in the sand? And what happens when we get there? What reward do we enjoy? What celebration can we have? And recognize the massive impact that we're having in patients' lives, because that's what it's all about. This team meeting is an opportunity to listen to the team. The majority of this team meeting is actually run by the team, and the practice owner or the office lead is just managing and asking the right questions to spur the right conversations that come within the team members' own dialogue. What are they struggling with? What are their limiting beliefs that's keeping them from hitting their goals? And how do we assist them? This is the beautiful thing about the team meeting, is it's a regular rhythm of accountability. It's a cadence that allows you guys to be accountable to each other, responsible to each other for each part of the patient experience. The third team meeting in the production rhythm is what we call your billing and AR meeting. This is not a very long meeting, but it's a regular meeting where we're constantly looking at the cash flow. Where do people owe us money? Why do they owe us money? And how do we reduce the revenue cycle? How do we shorten it so that we can get our cash quicker? Who has my cash? Why do they have it? And why isn't it in our bank account? This is such an important meeting. You just roll over when insurance companies deny a bill, or a patient decides not to pay you, or agreements were broken. If we're going to run a profitable practice that delivers high quality of value to patients who want your services, if we're going to stay in business, if we're going to scale this, we have got to get our cash. You went to way too many years of school. You've invested way too much in yourself. You've put your, everything on the line to build this practice. We have to have a system in place where regularly we're reviewing. Now, there are times when it's correct to write off some payables, but making sure that you're making those decisions, that it's not some employee or some billing company just making the decisions for you. Nobody will care about your cash flow more than you. Nobody will take better stewardship of those accounts receivables than you. So it's really important that we take advantage of that. The fourth core meeting is such a fun one. We call it the fire drill. And this fire drill is a weekly meeting that you're sitting down looking at priorities, because tasks will build up on your plate. You wear so many hats in the practice. You have so much on your shoulders that you and your right hand, your practice manager, should be reviewing those tasks and making sure that they are prioritized properly. And when you do that on a regular basis, when tasks are completed, we move the growth needle. We move the production needle. And that is one of the secrets to exploding practice growth. The third limiting factor in most practices is that they haven't nailed their ideal patient persona. Who is your ideal new patient? Now, we know new patients are the lifeblood to a practice to either sustain growth or add another provider and or add another location. Too many practices are struggling with consistency in their new patients because they're not even quite sure who their new patients are. Who are the new patients out there in the world? Now, again, I grew up in this mentality that everybody was my new patient. And I have come quickly to learn that that is not true. I want patients who want what we solve. You see, we solve problems. We solve healthcare problems, and pretty complex ones at that. And when we began speaking their language, when we began interrupting the conversation that they were having in their own head already, all of a sudden they were like, whoa, somebody understands me. We began throwing out hooks, fishing for very specific kind of fish. And when we started attracting those, our new patients went from 25 in a month to 40 in a month to 60 in a month. We even got up into the hundreds a month. And that's when we had to keep adding providers because of the scale that all of a sudden puts you on. When you speak the language of your ideal new patient persona, when you've dialed in the income, when you've dialed in the geographic, when you've dialed in the mindset, when you've dialed in the other types of things that they are consuming, you can put your messaging in front of them and begin attracting them into your practice. You've got to nail your ideal patient persona.